Well, thanks for meeting with me, Matt.
No problem.
I'm a longtime fan.
Thank you.
I'm the owner of RugbyNation.com.
Okay.
I'm so grateful for USA Rugby to give me the opportunity to be here and to interview you guys. Tell me a little bit about the last two games and how you feel that, what's your strategy going into this Las Vegas game?
Well, I think, the last two sort of tournaments, unfortunately, the results didn't go our way. But I think at the end of the day, we had a lot of youngsters. We had a lot of young guys that were now leaders. And so from my standpoint, it was not just an opportunity to blood guys, but also give guys an opportunity to see this is what hard times look like. And, to a certain extent, there was an understanding that it was going to be a really tough 2 weeks because we were, really in a new place. It was one of the first times that I hadn't been on the field with the guys for a very long time. A couple of our other senior leaders had left at that point. So, a lot of young guys had to step up, but then a lot of new guys, completely new guys, had to step into starting roles. But I think from our perspective, it was a great learning curve. Coming out of it, the guys really understand what's needed from them, not only at training every day, but also when we show up at tournaments and need to get a job done. So I think we've taken a step forward in sort of our evolution as a program. By no means are we sort of a finished product, but we're closer to it. So this weekend gives us an opportunity to go out there and sort of establish for ourselves where we are in that development process and where we have players situated and if it's the right place for them, but also for me as a coach, are we heading down the right path or do we need to sort of reevaluate based on sort of what we get out of it?
Now, I noticed that Carlin Isles wasn't playing too much and let's say, 2 or 3 tournaments back, but I think he was on the field almost every single minute at the last tournament. What's the strategy behind that?
I think at this point, Carlin, there is no real strategy for Carlin, right? Carlin's a good player. He's not a finished product, but he's someone that's working towards being a finished rugby player. Now it's just about managing him and getting him as much experience as we can. And when I talk experience, I mean, you've got to spend time on the field. You've got to learn exactly what goes on, when it goes on, and how you prepare for that, but also what do you do, how do you adjust on the field for that, So Carlin's just like any of the other 12 on the sort of the team. Any 12 of them can start. That's the whole goal of it. Who starts and when they start is dependent on strategy versus who we're playing, but also how they're doing form-wise. If we've had a great tournament and he's coming to the next tournament, well, I'd be silly not to start him. And that's what it comes down to. Colin's just like one of the other 12. He provides something different than the other 12 don't, but the other 12, each and every one of them provide something that we need to make the team successful.
Yeah, you have some incredible talent, like Zach and everybody else. What made you decide to go coach versus play? I bet you just watched them play on the field and you're just dying to get in there and get some hits in.
Yeah, I mean, I love the game. I'm incredibly passionate, and rugby is something that's run through my family and is a huge part of who I am. Would I like to continue to play? Would I like to go to the Olympics as a player? Absolutely. I mean, who would? But I think we reached a stage in our program where I was approached by certain people and was asked to make a decision, and I made the decision that I made, and I'm happy with the decision that I made, and I'm now living the decision that I made, and that's the way it goes. And I get out on the beach where I live and play some touch every now and then and throw the ball around and get that sort of little edge out. But outside of that, I get just as fired on the pitch, as a coach, motivating these guys and getting them to where they need to be. So nothing's really changed from that perspective.
Well, last question. You're from South Africa. And I think the last game in South Africa, the last tournament where South Africa won the tournament, was epic. I wish I could have been there.
Yes.
But just your final thoughts on, the heart of rugby and what that meant to South Africa and what it was like being there.
Well, I think first and foremost you've got to look at the fact that Nelson Mandela passed away. He was an incredible inspiration for a lot of people, not just South Africans. And a big piece to what he brought was the fact that yes, sport is something that crosses many boundaries, crosses many different races, and can really bring people together. And I think that was sort of an underlying factor going into that weekend. It was something really, really important. I was very, very fortunate to be in South Africa during that time. During sort of the '95 World Cup. I think it was 2 weeks after the World Cup. Francois Pienaar actually spoke at a dinner that we were at because my rugby team was going on tour and we were fundraising, so I had an attachment to it. But yeah, I mean, I think South Africans are incredibly passionate, but more so towards rugby, and I think Nelson Mandela is someone that took that passion and elevated rugby in that country to somewhere I don't think anyone really realized or recognized, you know, and I think that weekend and that last game really showed that, you know, so it was fantastic for us to be there, you know, obviously not the best case, you know, with Nelson passing away, but I think for us to be there and for our guys to really see that and understand that was something that was really important to them, you know, but fantastic game, and yeah, I mean, epic's the right word.
Inspirational. And the U.S. is, you know, they won gold in the last Olympics. You know, we've got to defend that, and you know, I wish you luck, and I think we've got a good shot. You've got 2 years to bring up some really good talent, and I think you're doing a great job as a coach.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. I mean, I think at the end of the day, yes, that's it. Americans, we're patriotic. We don't like losing, regardless of what we're doing, and that's what we're going to go and do. And we've got, you know, essentially 18 months before we have to qualify, and then after that, you know, 6 to 12 months until the Olympics, and at that point we've got to perform. So there's lots ahead of us.
Thank you very much, man.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.